Ever wondered if you could survive being stranded on a remote island? From finding fresh water to building shelter, we'll explore the essential skills that could keep you alive. Get ready to master the art of island survival. When you first find yourself stranded on an island, those initial 24 hours are absolutely crucial. Your first priority? Stay calm. Panic is your worst enemy right now. Take a deep breath and remember STOP. Stop, think, observe, and plan. Start by finding a safe spot away from the shoreline, but make sure you can still see the beach. That's where potential rescuers will look first. Next, check yourself for injuries. Even small cuts can become serious problems in a survival situation. Now, you've got 3 immediate needs: shelter, water, and signaling for help. Look for natural shelters like caves or large trees, but watch out for dangerous wildlife that might already call them home. If you've got anything reflective, a watch, phone screen, or even belt buckle, keep it handy for signaling passing ships or aircraft. Remember, these first few hours will set the tone for your entire survival experience. Now let's tackle one of the most critical survival challenges: finding water on your island. While you might be surrounded by ocean, drinking salt water is a big no-no. It'll actually make you more dehydrated. But don't worry, there are several clever ways to find fresh water. First, look for coconuts. They're nature's water bottles. Green coconuts contain the most liquid. If you spot banana plants, their stalks store water too. Morning dew can be collected by tying grass or cloth around your ankles and walking through tall vegetation early in the morning. For purifying water, you've got options. Boiling is best if you can make fire, but you can also create a solar still by digging a hole, placing a container in the center, covering it with plastic, and letting the sun do the work. Even if the water looks clear, always assume it needs purifying. Better safe than sorry. Let's talk about keeping a roof over your head when you're stranded. For a quick solution, the classic lean-to structure is your best friend. Find a sturdy tree or rock face and prop large branches at a 45-degree angle. Layer smaller branches and palm fronds from bottom to top, like shingles on a roof, to keep rain from seeping through. For a more permanent setup, consider the A-frame design. It's basically 2 lean-tos facing each other. The key is elevation. Get that floor off the ground to avoid creepy crawlies and water runoff. Use soft materials like leaves and grass for bedding, but make sure to check them for insects first. Here's a pro tip. Position your shelter's entrance away from prevailing winds and try to build on slightly sloped ground to prevent flooding. Remember, a good shelter keeps you dry, warm, and protected from the elements. When it comes to finding food on a desert island, you've got 3 main options at your disposal. Let's start with fishing. Even without proper gear, you can create simple fish traps using vines and sticks in tidal pools. Palm fronds woven into a cone shape make excellent fish traps too. For foraging, coconuts are your best friends. They provide both food and water. Look for fruit-bearing trees like banana plants and watch what local birds eat. They're excellent guides to safe foods. Speaking of birds, their eggs make fantastic protein sources if you can find nesting areas. For seafood, low tide is your golden hour. Check rocky areas for mussels, clams, and snails. Just remember the cardinal rule. If you can't positively identify something, don't eat it. It's better to stick with what you know is safe than risk getting sick when you're already in a survival situation. Now let's get creative with making tools. Your island survival Swiss Army knife. First up, sharp edges are essential. You can create cutting tools by carefully breaking stones to get sharp edges, or by shaping seashells into scrapers. Bamboo, if you're lucky enough to find it, is incredibly versatile. Split it lengthwise for knives, or use whole sections to make spears. Palm fronds aren't just for shelter. Their strong fibers can be twisted into rope for binding tools or making fishing lines. Speaking of fishing, fashion hooks from small bones or thorns, and craft spears from straightened saplings hardened in fire. For defense against any wildlife, a sturdy walking stick doubles as a defensive tool. Remember, every tool you create makes the next one easier to make. It's like leveling up in a survival game, but for real. When those dark clouds start rolling in, you'll need to know how to handle tropical storms on your island. First, Secure your shelter by reinforcing it with extra supports and creating deep drainage channels around the perimeter. Those palm fronds you've been using for roofing? Double or triple layer them and weave them tightly. Think of it as making nature's shingles. Your food and tool storage needs to be waterproof, so utilize those large leaves to create protective wrapping. Or if you're lucky enough to have any salvaged materials, store items in elevated locations. Keep an eye on the ocean. If you notice the water suddenly receding, that's your cue to move to higher ground immediately. During the storm, stay in your shelter but be ready to move if trees start falling. Remember, these storms can actually be opportunities. Afterward, you can collect fresh rainwater and find new materials that have washed ashore. Getting rescued isn't just about luck. It's about making yourself as visible as possible while knowing your way around the island. Let's start with navigation basics. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west, which gives you a natural compass. Create clear markers using bright materials or arrange stones to mark important locations like your camp and water sources. Now, for getting noticed, your best friend is contrast. Make 3 of anything: fires, large SOS letters on the beach, or triangle patterns with bright materials. The rule of 3 is an international distress signal. Keep a signal fire ready with green vegetation nearby. When you spot a plane or ship, add the green stuff to create thick white smoke. Speaking of fires, maintain 3 separate fire locations in a triangle formation. It's a universally recognized rescue pattern. Let's talk about one of the toughest parts of island survival: keeping your mind sharp and spirits high when you're all alone. The isolation can be just as dangerous as physical threats, but there are proven ways to stay mentally strong. Start by creating a daily routine. It gives you a sense of normalcy and purpose. Keep a calendar by marking days on a tree or with collected stones. Talk to yourself. Yes, really. It's perfectly normal and helps process your thoughts. Stay busy with projects like improving your shelter or crafting tools. Think of yourself as the lead character in your own survival story, documenting discoveries and achievements. Remember, rescue could come any day, so maintain hope by focusing on small wins and celebrating your survival skills. Combat loneliness by creating a companion from an object like Tom Hanks did with Wilson in Cast Away. It's actually a smart psychological strategy. When you're stranded, even minor injuries can become serious without proper medical care. Let's explore some island first aid tricks that could save your life. Coconut oil is nature's antiseptic, perfect for treating cuts and scrapes. For burns, the gel inside aloe vera plants works wonders. If you spot spider webs, collect them. They're surprisingly effective at stopping small wounds from bleeding. Seawater, while not for drinking, is great for cleaning wounds, and certain seaweed types can work as makeshift bandages. For stomach issues, charcoal from your fire can help with digestion problems. Got a fever? Willow bark tea works like natural aspirin. Remember to keep wounds clean and covered. Infection is your biggest enemy on a tropical island. The key is prevention. Wear improvised shoes to avoid cuts, and always check where you're putting your hands and feet. So you've mastered the basics of survival. Now it's time to think long-term and transform your island stay from just surviving to actually thriving. Let's talk about creating a sustainable life here. Start by establishing a reliable food garden, those fruit pits and seeds you've been eating. Plant them in nutrient-rich soil near your camp. Create a composting system using food scraps and dead leaves to fertilize your garden. For water, develop a rainwater catchment system using large leaves or salvaged materials as collection surfaces. Build storage solutions by weaving baskets from palm fronds and creating clay containers from island mud. Think about your daily routines. How can you make them more efficient? Maybe it's time to upgrade that simple lean-to into a more permanent home with separate areas for sleeping, food storage, and tool making. Thanks for joining our Island Survival Guide. Remember, knowledge is your best tool for staying alive in any situation. If you enjoyed learning these survival skills, hit that like button, subscribe for more adventure tips, and share with friends who love outdoor challenges.